Welcome to Family Unmuted, where Ruben and Tiana Estrada open the door to their lives as real estate brokers, owners of a family business, parents, and everything in between. This is our world, Unmuted.
All right, so welcome back. This episode is with our good friend John. Introduce yourself for everybody.
Well, thank you for having me, Ruben. My name is John Mahoney. I run an insurance agency. I'm born and raised in Colorado. I love fishing. I love playing basketball. And, I really like just trying to be optimistic about all this craziness of life and having a good time, making new relationships. Those are some of my super basic life values.
Wow. Where do you fish?
Spinney Reservoir, kind of in the Fairplay, 11-mile reservoir, and then Tarryall Reservoir. Those are kind of my three top spots.
Nice.
Mainly trout.
Do you have any secret bait for people, or do you do fly fishing?
No, I do not do fly fishing.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
I am trying to get out there and learn how to wield a fly rod, if you will.
Yeah.
But no, lots of shiny red and silver little spinny guys.
Oh, okay.
Spinny flies. That's at least what I catch pike on.
Okay.
I hear I've caught a good amount of pike, and apparently I'm lucky for that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people just kind of going into fishing stories. I guess pike are one of the more possibly difficult catch to fish, and
well, they're huge, right? Generally, they're pretty big fish.
I think they do get very big.
Yeah.
The ones I catch are usually at smaller lakes, but
okay.
Yeah, pike are super fun to catch. They're aggressive. They'll fight you a little bit. So
okay.
I've been lucky just talking to more advanced fishermen, for having snagged a few pike, and
okay.
I guess it is more of a rarity. So I'm no crazy awesome fisherman. Okay. I just like going and having a good time, really. But it is
just an excuse to have some beers on a boat or something like that.
That could be.
Cool. Well, give us a little more detail. So you're born, then what? Kind of deal.
Right. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. As I mentioned, born and raised in the Denver area.
Okay.
Grew up in, Westminster.
Okay.
Under a single mother household. My mom is an absolute animal. She's just amazing. She raised me and my sister for some years. She did meet somebody eventually, and she's super happy. But that's actually how I got into an insurance, which I'll get to in a second. Went to Jefferson Academy High School in Broomfield.
Yep.
3A charter school. I enjoyed my education. High school, it's one of those times that's super weird, and you learn a lot about yourself, and college even more so.
Yeah.
Graduated from JA, went to Northeastern Junior College.
Where's that at?
That's in Sterling, Colorado.
Okay.
They're a big baseball school.
Yep.
I didn't play baseball. I went and studied business. I had a buddy out there. He's a diesel mechanic, and they have a great mechanic program.
Oh, wow.
They are a lot of trade based degrees out there.
Okay.
And then, of course, your business and a lot of the general degrees as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually started at Metro. I was a little too close to home. I kind of wanted to get away, so I ended up going to Northeastern in Sterling. Got my associate's degree out there. It was nice, to get out of Denver a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't go too far from home, about 2 hours, but it was far enough. It was kind of the perfect distance to experience a new area, get away from home a little bit, becoming, more of a responsible man and kind of learning those skills of living on your own.
Sure.
So that was huge. Moved back to Denver, finished my degree, my bachelor degree at Metro. In business.
So you've always had this business desire
Totally.
To own your own business or to run a business. Where did you see yourself?
I would say I've always had kind of the desire. Yeah, I've always from a younger age wanted, to be a leader, mainly just for my community. And I've always been involved in team sports, and that's a huge passion of mine. And I think that teaches, children and kids in high school and college and young adults all the way throughout life. Team sports are just, at least in my life, the best way to build relationships and kind of learn those skills of working with people.
Sure.
What was your question again?
No, it was just learning more about you,
Yeah, something specific.
In the business side of things, why did you choose business?
Yeah.
So
I was kind of grandfathered into, yes, the insurance industry, but more just kind of business in general. My mom ran an Allstate insurance agency for 20-something years. So even as a kid, I was kind of getting involved with insurance, or at least like filing papers away for her.
Sure.
And it was always, as I got older, teenage years, it was still in the back of my head. It's, if you can figure it out, you can turn that into, a good lifestyle and, meet a lot of good people in different industries. And is insurance one of the biggest things, biggest values.
Yeah.
It's a door opener to just meet
Well, we all
people.
need it, right?
Yeah, we all need it.
Yeah.
I work with, tons of different types of people, and that's why I keep doing it. I just love, one, meeting new people, and then just learning, like, different experiences of life. It's fascinating to me, really.
Cool. That's awesome. So you grew up here, went to school here, graduated locally, went to college, got a business degree.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Then what?
So after got the business degree at Metro.
So you graduated from college and you're like, uh-oh, now what do I do, right?
Shoot. The fun stuff is over. Now we got to figure this out.
Did you look for a job first?
I did. So it was kind of nice. My senior year at Metro was 2020, so everything went online. There was no in-person classes, and I had
it's COVID, right?
Yeah, COVID year. I had I think I had 6 or 9 credits, so I had like 2 or 3 classes left that semester, May of 2020. So it all moved online. I wasn't even going to campus anymore. So I did actually go work at an Allstate agency. I got my property and casualty license when I turned 20 years old. Finished my 3 classes while I was working at this agency. Because at that point, I did know I was probably going to go into insurance, test the waters. In my opinion, just given that I did kind of have a network into the insurance industry already, I thought it would be kind of almost dumb of me not to at least pursue that for a little bit.
Okay.
So I pursued it. I'm glad I did. I am an insurance nerd for sure. But so while I'm finishing school, got my insurance license, started working at Allstate. Did that for 4 years across 2 different Allstate agencies. And then last summer, here we are. I left Allstate, went to the broker side of insurance, opened my own shop here. And shoot, we've been full speed ahead ever since.
Wow. So explain that for folks in that. What is the broker side of things?
Totally.
What does that mean?
Yeah, that's a confusing area. In a lot of industries, too, there's always a broker side. Insurance, I can't speak of any more industries. All I know about is insurance, really. An insurance broker, the advantages that I have to give to my clients is just a bigger amount of quotes and options. I have contracts with all these different insurance companies. Rather than when I was just with Allstate. I love Allstate. I'll always have a soft spot for them. And they're my mom's agency with Allstate. They were the reason she was able to bring my sister and I up and allow us to live a decent lifestyle with a single mother. So I will always have a soft spot for Allstate. But in my experience, I think the broker side of the industry provides better business, more options, more availability for clients, for consumers like us that are just shopping for insurance so often.
Right.
It's like one of my main things is just, if I can work with somebody, we're going to look at 10 plus different insurance companies for you, analyze kind of who has the best rates. Here's what State Farm looks like for you. Here's what Nationwide looks like for you. What are the differences in cost, coverage, deductibles, all this lingo jingo.
Yep.
Now, in the captive side, that's the other side. Brokers and the captive, so strictly just Allstate agents or strictly just State Farm agents. They have their advantages as well. They are reaching more people just given their logo and their name.
They've been around
totally
for a while.
They've been around.
Yep.
Great companies, big companies.
Yep.
So there's benefits and drawbacks, I think, to both sides. My passions and my values definitely pulled me towards the broker side. And for me, it was literally just to provide more quote options for my prospects.
Cool.
there's probably some other reasons in there, but that was the big one that carries the most weight.
You didn't want to be in a sort of a box with just one option.
Totally. And when I was in that little box, again, there were plenty of benefits in that area. Mm-hmm. But I just felt like when I was trying to serve insurance to some of our prospects, I was just, fighting whether we had high rates that year or whether I'm, just trying to explain how and why we're so much better than all these other insurance companies. Very competitive industry. Mm-hmm. You walk, 20 feet, you'll see a couple different agencies.
Sure.
But
it's like the real estate business.
Totally, yeah.
You throw a rock, you can hit 9 realtors.
So we as consumers, we do have just a plethora of options. So it really is what does separate us. Yeah. When I was with Allstate, it was still the people and our brand and our claims department. They had our customers' backs for sure. Mm-hmm. But that was it. Mm. If we had high rates, there's your rates. I can't do anything else. Sorry. Mm.
Yeah.
They would they'd
take it or leave it
out and have to go through the whole process again with a different agent.
Mm-hmm. Yikes.
So that was the other thing is like if I can limit the amount of phone calls that the people of Thornton are making. Yeah. It's kind of a one-stop shop type of deal. Cool. If you will.
Cool. So you mentioned you used the word geek out, which is kind of like me. I love to geek out on numbers and data and stuff like that.
Totally.
So when you geek out with insurance, what does that mean? Just you read policies at night before you go to bed, or what does that look like?
I spend my weekends while I'm fishing and just reading insurance policies. No, when I geek out about insurance, what I mean by that is it's a boring subject.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah, insurance is boring.
I do.
It's a confusing area, just all the different terminology and lingo, and it is similar to maybe like health insurance, which is probably 10 times more confusing, honestly.
Right.
Just all these different terms and kind of how things will play out on the policy you have on paper versus I have a claim. This is real life, and I need help.
Right.
So that is where I try to be that middleman of. Here's your insurance policy. This is a big document with lots of papers and numbers and words. If something were to happen, an accident, a fire, an injury, here's how that's going to translate in real life with these numbers, with these terms, and here's what it means. Yep. So like when I say I geek out, when people ask me questions about their insurance, I love it for some reason. I do, yeah. And mainly because they probably don't understand it as well as I do, just being that I have studied the industry for about 5 years now. Mm-hmm. I'll talk insurance all day with people, mainly because where I get the value out of it is, as weird as it sounds, like I can slightly help somebody in their day, whether it's allowing them to understand their coverage a little bit better and translate that to real life, whether it's saving them, $1,000-something on their insurance. That always feels great. Yeah. So that's where I get the value, is like being that middleman between a confusing and expensive industry and then, us normal people of Thornton, Colorado.
Yeah. Well, in the real estate business, you have what we call a functionary, where, they just go through the motions and they just tell you the information, and it's pretty low level service.
Sure.
And then you have the fiduciary, where you're like, you got your people's back, and you're more of a consultant, and you're providing options, and you're providing clarification, and sometimes some murky language or waters. And that's the difference. Like, I see you as a fiduciary for your people because my office is right next to yours. So unfortunately, you probably hear some of my conversations. I hear some of your conversations. And I know you got your people's back. And that's what we appreciate about you. That's why we do business with you. That's why you handle our insurance. And I don't think people understand the difference between the functionary and the fiduciary. And I don't know if you even have a legal obligation to be a fiduciary for folks.
Not in insurance.
No.
I think there should be at a certain level, but there's not.
Absolutely. But you actually step into that role nicely. And I think that's a huge difference. So as far as geeking out, and what do you think people should know about their insurance policies? What are maybe 3 or 4 things that if they're listening to this, they need to know, certain things about their policy and who they're doing business with and who their carrier is. Absolutely. Am I using the right language?
You are, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
100%.
Holy smokes. Wow.
So,
so what should people take away?
Sure.
Yeah.
And then, to kind of start off on that point, that is, yes, one of our agency values is, hey, we have a new customer on the phone. We're going to go through the quote process with you. We want to let you know the important things to know as a homeowner purchasing insurance, because there are a few things that are important, but there's also a lot of things that you don't necessarily need to keep in the top of your mind as a homeowner.
Right.
You have a local agent. That's why you use them, so you can rely on them as needed.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those things, as a homeowner, the important things, your dwelling coverage. I think homeowners should check that as they get their renewal documents each year.
Mm-hmm.
In turn, I think their agent should be calling them to review that with them each year.
Mm-hmm.
Dwelling coverage is huge. Real life example in Superior, what's the name of the fire?
Marshall
Fires.
Yeah.
Tragic event, and people are still suffering from that like crazy, and it makes me just so sad that the insurance industry failed those people in my home state.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible, and those people are still suffering to this day. It's
sure,
almost 2 full years later, I think.
I think it was a year anniversary recently.
This last December.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those people could be displaced for another few years, and to my understanding, just reading the news and reading all these insurance forums, it's very clear their properties were underinsured in a massive market in the Denver metro area. Houses were underinsured. Insurance companies were not increasing their dwelling coverage like they should to account for those things like cost of materials and inflation and supply chain. How are we going to get a bunch of lumber and steel to rebuild these houses? Right. It's going to cost money.
Right.
And the insurance, that's where your dwelling coverage is used, is if the house goes bye-bye, God forbid, that number on your dwelling coverage is what the insurance company will provide you.
Wow. A
lot of those people were underinsured by a lot.
Yep.
I personally, in that situation, I put a lot of that on the local agents, potentially. That it's not anybody's fault, I would say. That is a natural disaster.
Right.
That a lot of people are suffering
We may not ever see something like that in our lifetime.
We might not.
Right. But,
so, I think what I learned from it as an agent, I just want to make sure I am reaching out to my clients, reviewing their coverage with them, making sure it is up to par with the current economy factors and all these things that play into rebuilding your home if it were to go away, God forbid. Dwelling coverage is a big one. Deductibles, that's another terminology everyone hears. I think most people are kind of equipped. Deductible, out-of-pocket amount. That is what my responsibility is as a homeowner, is my deductible if there's a claim. The insurance company covers the rest at a very broad level. Deductibles, especially for property owners these days, they're moving to a percentage-based deductible rather than a flat $2,500, $1,000 deductible. A lot of companies now are moving to those percentage-based deductibles.
Meaning, so if you have a percentage of what?
It is a percentage of your dwelling coverage.
Oh, of your dwelling coverage. Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay, so, I gotcha.
The basic one, let's say you have $500,000 in dwelling coverage for your home, a 1% deductible, you have a $5,000 deductible.
Gotcha.
Here's the weird thing about that and why I steer clear of those percentage-based deductibles quite a bit. And there's other factors where we might have to do that for a client and just monitor it a little bit better. And here's why. The percentage-based deductibles, being a percentage of that dwelling coverage, will change on the same scale as your dwelling coverage. Basically, your dwelling coverage gets adjusted each year by the insurance company to account for those things: inflation, cost of materials. In the Marshall Fire situation, those policies were being adjusted, just not enough. They were not being adjusted enough. Therefore, if you have a percentage-based deductible, that deductible is getting adjusted on the same scale as your dwelling coverage. So you might have, comfortable $2,000, aka 1% deductible, but something crazy happens. The insurance company wants to bump up your dwelling coverage another, $50,000 because we just had another crazy supply chain issue, let's say. Therefore, your deductible is also getting increased, and now maybe you have a $3,500, $4,000 deductible when you thought you've had the same $2,000 deductible. Those are the things that even just kind of listening to myself talk would get confusing.
Sure.
And they do, because I hear stories about it all the time. So that's another thing. Those percentage-based deductibles, they're not a bad thing if you have somebody to just monitor that and rely on, or unless you're going to do that yourself and kind of understand how that works in the insurance world, which I would never expect my clients to have to take their time to do that. Like, that's what I'm here for. So just kind of monitoring those weird things that as a homeowner I might not understand, but as a studied insurance agent, I do get it, and we see that all the time. So that's another kind of difference of, like, as you were saying, the fiduciary versus kind of
the functionary.
Totally is.
Functionary would be like, here's your policy, here's your coverage, here's your deductible.
Totally.
Which one do you want?
And that would make me sick. If I were to have that kind of conversation with anybody, that would just make me sick about myself. So our main thing is really just kind of laying out the important things just clearly for our clients to know. It is important. I want you to review your renewal documents as they come to you, and then let's review it together, though. It's not all just on our clients to hope they have great coverage or enough coverage. So it is a good kind of split of a relationship between myself as the agent and all my clients. I think right now, being a year into business as a local insurance agent, I think we do a fairly good job at just making sure our customers know, hey, we are here for you. But, we don't control the insurance rates. We don't control the world. I'm here to take those products that these big companies are offering, make them make sense to normal people like you and I, and then lay it out, for our clients and the people of our community here. So
cool.
The uncontrollables, we can work with you on price. We have ways to fix up a policy to work with you on price. So let's focus on coverage. Let's make sure your assets and your future, are protected the way they need to be. And then, if for some reason price doesn't work out, let's figure it out. Let's get that price lower. So it is very insurance. You think it's here it is, that's your price.
Goodbye. Set it and forget it.
Totally. But it's not. Like,
it isn't.
There are ways to personalize and customize to a T based on, your values and my values, and putting those values together and working on your insurance, as kind of a team almost. And so I love it. I'll always be an insurance nerd. You can come to me with questions. I'll talk about it all day.
That's cool. Well, how do people get in touch with you?
Get in touch with me at my website, peaceofmind.pro. Our business name is Mahoney Insurance Next Dimension, and we provide peace of mind with your insurance protection. Phone number 303-268-5555. Call or text that. Or Ruben, I know you have a strong pull in the community. Get in touch with Mr. Ruben, and I'm sure you can slide my card as needed. But,
absolutely. Well, if people come to our events, you're usually there.
Yeah, totally.
So
come to the events.
Our events, and you'll probably see John there, hanging out.
I appreciate you guys, one, just having me to record a podcast with you, and allow me to have a platform to speak to some of your clients and your followers, and probably more than that. The internet does crazy things these days. So another just thing I'm grateful for, you guys bringing me in over this last year, and kind of making me feel like family almost, and giving me a shot to work with you on your insurance. And my main thing was I wanted to show you kind of how the process works, and I can get translated well to kind of move that along to your clients as well, who I've met a handful of them already, and they're all just similar, like-minded, normal people that want to have good relationships with friendly people, and that's what I like, That's what I appreciate, is just friendly conversation. If we work on your insurance, great. If not, fantastic, Let's have a conversation and see if we're a good fit.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for being on here.
Of course. Thank you, Ruben.
And we'll have you again for sure.
Awesome.
So,
Pleasure.
all right.